Thank you for being with us today. Let's get right into it, because later in this episode, we're going to be joined by College Football Hall of Famer Paul Boo Boo Palmer.
Yeah.
But we can't get to Paul until we talk a little bit, right, Charles Gregory?
That's right,
So I'm
that's
joined
right.
today by my friend, my colleague, my partner in crime, Charles Gregory.
Yes. How are you?
Hey, I'm coming out of the holidays, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, fantastic. How did you eat, though?
I didn't do too much cookout.
I do the cookout.
Oh, I was trying to get the rest in. I needed to rest.
Yeah, you need to rest, no doubt. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to rest.
Okay.
In this episode.
Yeah, we got something to talk about.
Well, number one, both of us are Eagles fans.
Shout out
Philadelphia
to
Eagles.
Got them. See, as you know, Eagles. That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's other Eagles out there, but we're Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Philly Eagles. I'm a Philadelphia fan, period. Let's go. Yeah.
And they can't see this right now, but I'm wearing green pants today.
There you go. You see, I got my green. I got on green. It's green in the room. It's green everywhere. Yeah.
And there's one-a-days happening already.
Yeah, for sure.
So practice back in session. It's about to be football season again.
That's right. Draft is over.
Yeah,
we good.
Next year, the draft will be in Pittsburgh. We can't wait for that.
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
Next year, the draft is in Pittsburgh.
I might try to pull up, act like I'm a scout or something. Try to act like something.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Just jump on the turnpike and head over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's football's been in the news, not only just about the draft, not just about season getting ready to start back up again, but the Philadelphia Eagles made some news, some national news, in regards to the invitation they received to go to the White House.
They was mad.
Some were mad, some were not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Some of the ladies was mad, real mad though. They were upset. That's my guy though. Yeah, that's my guy.
But who are you talking about? What guy? Who's your guy?
Oh, ain't that? Look, we was talking about green, not orange, right?
Yeah.
All right, we was talking about green.
We was talking about green, not orange.
We was talking green, not orange. I'm just saying. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to be joined by Paul Boo Boo Palmer momentarily.
Shout out to him. Yeah.
Temple grad.
That's
Temple
right.
grads in the house.
Owls everywhere. I can't say that, but yeah, for sure.
And, the talk. So let's get into it. So the talk about, what happened with the invitation. The last several years, the invites have been different. It's been making news.
Yeah.
And in this last invitation to the White House, Saquon Barkley.
That's right.
Saquon Barkley made some national news. We had Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Right?
Shout out to
MVP.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, MVP. He deserved that.
Who said that he was too busy.
Yeah.
Couldn't fit it in his schedule.
That's right.
But Saquon Barkley not only made this fit his schedule, but a little golf session as well.
Yeah. He's not into politics, apparently.
He's not into politics.
Yeah.
My comeback for that is always, but politics are into you.
Politics into you. I hear that. Yeah.
Is there ever too much green? And I'm not talking Eagles Kelly green. I'm talking money green. Is there too much money that can leave your life out of being political?
Interesting. Obviously, right? Obviously, so for some, they don't weigh equally money and politics, right? Some politics equals money. Right. And so we already know how some people were bored out. Right. And so I think that Mr. Barkley there is probably challenged with a couple things. Right. And so it could truly be that, look, hey, I'm not even into politics. It could be that. Right. But then the argument becomes, what commitment do you have to your people? Right. Your people being those who potentially might vote blue and like you, which is probably your 90% of your constituents, your demographic, right? But he made a position and he stuck to it and he said some things. No one asked him, however, who'd he vote for?
Right.
So that could be a question, because would that change people's perception if he say, I didn't even vote for orange, I voted green?
Right.
Then how would you feel?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll never know.
That's the.
Yeah.
We'll never
But
know.
is there ever enough money that it's the complexion for protection?
Yeah.
Right? Is that green that complexion for protection from politics, because politics is ravaging other folks' lives on a daily basis in this moment.
Sure. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Those are some people really hot with him. Yeah. You know, they say, it's this saying where they say, you love them, then you hate them, then you love them again. Because if we win another Super Bowl, I'm sure 90% of Philadelphia will forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
I'm still going to feel it for a little bit. And, I have a neighbor, a couple blocks down, who in his yard, he likes to put up yard signs to let us know how he's feeling politically. Okay. It might be a don't tread on me one day. Mm-hmm. It might be an upside down flag because he's in distress. And I'll tell you this, right before the Super Bowl win, his yard sign was Saquon Barkley for president.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we still have it up?
No, that's down. He's no longer feeling that way.
Yeah, he's like negative. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah.
But we're going to be joined by Paul Boo Boo Palmer momentarily, and he's going to let us know that his life is political. So we'll be right back. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power, at New Millennium Multimedia Studios. Welcome back. We're happy to have you, and we are joined by a very special guest today for this episode entitled Ballers' Lives Are Political Too. And we are joined by College Football Hall of Famer Paul Palmer of Temple University. Happy to be with you today.
Glad to be here.
So this is exciting for us. You are our first professional athlete to join the podcast.
That's nice.
So, just a few episodes in.
A little feather in my cap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something.
We'll always remember the first.
I know. So they say. So they say.
So you are joining us today. You live in Jersey currently.
Yes.
And you grew up in the DMV.
In the DMV, I grew up in MoCo, as we like to call it, Montgomery County. Okay. Which is part of, obviously, the DMV. Great education, surrounded by a bunch of family, surrounded by a bunch of people that love me, sure.
And found your way to Temple University.
I got lucky. I was recruited by Bruce Arians. He was 32 years old. He was scrambling just to put something together that looked like a recruiting class. I was 5'0" and 160-something pounds, but I had good numbers and good stats. I had real bad grades. But he was in no position to say no. He kind of took a chance on me, and thank God it worked out well for both of us.
Yeah. You met a lot of good friends along the way.
Incredible.
Tell us a little bit about the college experience on Temple's campus.
College was incredible. I got there, and there were two other guys from the DMV that came in that year, Sheldon Morris from Oxon Hill, who I played against in the state championship, who beat us by 1 point in the state championship. Kevin Jones. A couple years later, my recruit was Joe Greenwood, and Mike Hennett was one of my recruits, who's one of my best friends. Gary Mobley, I helped show around Eddie Parker, who's one of my best friends. Keith Gloucester was my roommate, and Chris Chambers, and I talked to those guys. We're like housewives. We text each other all day, every day, and I couldn't imagine going to a different location. I think it was perfect, absolutely perfect for me. Yeah.
What did you like most about Temple University? So it's a little different. Philadelphia vibe's a little different than the DMV.
Yeah. But you know what? When I heard that they wanted me to visit, I didn't know anything about them. I said, "Where is it?" And I was like, "Oh, Philadelphia." I was like, "Okay, cool. I can do Philly. Philly sounds good." I remember visiting the school and not knowing anything. And then I realized, like, oh, this is the school with the checkered pants. They had like checkers down the side. I'm like, oh. And I looked at the schedule. I'm like, oh, Pitt, Penn State, Boston College, Syracuse, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. I said, oh, we play their JV. And they told me that we don't play their JV, that we play Georgia and Penn State, in those schools. I was like, wow. I thought maybe I was being set up. Mm-hmm. If it were like this time now, I'd think like, oh, it's some hidden camera show and I'm being set up, yeah.
Well, you had the experience there on Temple's campus, and you're joined today by two other Temple grads as well. So Temple Owls are everywhere.
Everywhere. Go Owls.
And you have the distinction and the honor of being the only Temple football player to currently be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah. What did that mean to you? Because I know that your experience in getting into the Football Hall of Fame was instrumental in all things.
It took some time. You get nominated. I think I didn't make it in 7 times. And you know what? I got to say this. When I was first nominated, I was kind of cocky about it. And my thought process was, well, what the hell took them so long? Of course. So it took 7 years. That last year, I didn't put anything on social media. I kind of wound it back a little bit. And I think it was the right time for me because it made me humble myself. It made me go into the Hall of Fame as the person that I believe I am, right. Not like the person I would have been. But I was fortunate. I was playing at Temple University. Who thinks a kid at Temple University can be up for the Heisman Trophy? Who can be an All-American? Who can be a #1 draft pick? It was a great experience for me.
Yeah. So speaking of the Heisman Trophy, as you alluded to, not a bad runner-up, right? Runner-up.
Runner-up. Don't say second runner-up. Yeah. That's the third guy.
Just runner-up. Vinny Testaverde was that year.
Vinny Testaverde. Brian Bosworth was there. Gordy Lockbaum from Holy Cross was there. It was a pretty good mix of ball players. Okay. Yeah.
How'd the family feel about that?
Everyone was excited. It's still, even to this day, it's just mind-blowing that I got to that point. And the whole time I'm just thinking, I just need to play ball, and I'm not really thinking about it, but the split second before they made the announcement, and it's on YouTube, the split second before they made the announcement, they said the winner of the Heisman Trophy is, and I'm like, they said Vinny Testaverde, and I was like, ugh. Yeah. But up until then, I didn't think I had a chance until that very split second. Yeah.
So you went on, runner-up in the Heisman Trophy, and then drafted by Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah, the 19th pick that year, 19th pick overall. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. All my friends and I, my great-grandmother had a heart attack during my senior year, who raised me from the time I was probably 2 years old. And then right before the Heisman banquet, right before my draft, she was saying, I just want to see him get drafted. She had another heart attack and a stroke. Left her in the hospital. She was in a coma on draft day, but before she got sick, she was saying, I just want to be around to see him get drafted. Yeah. The usual suspects, we got in the car, we went down to Maryland. Instead of staying in Philly with the team, we went down to Maryland. I got my phone call, went to the hospital, visited her, and after I visited her, she passed. Wow. So she hung around to see her baby get drafted. So it's a crazy day, crazy story, but she passed the day I was drafted, a couple hours after I got my phone call.
Were you allowed any time to grieve within all that happens after being drafted?
Not really. I mean, now there's so much talk about mental health, right, and what have you. For me, I flew out the next day. I met the Kansas City media. Mm-hmm. I was out there for a few days. I came back. Right around the corner was minicamp. I went out to minicamp. I came home. I went out to camp. If they offered it, they may have offered it. I don't recall. I know for sure I didn't get any help. And I know by the end of the year, and I only went out there about 185 pounds, 190 pounds. By the end of the year, I had lost 10 or 15 pounds because I was just stressed. Yeah. I didn't get much help now. And even now, people have said, you probably need to talk to someone about that. Yeah. So there wasn't much mental help going on then.
Well, you did have some triumph. First time you touched a football in the NFL, what happened?
The first time I touched the football in the NFL regular season game. I ran back a kickoff for a touchdown. And every now and then I'll bump into someone like, oh, man, I remember that kickoff you ran back. My end zone celebration was the Nestea plunge. And those of us that are old enough know what the Nestea plunge is. And I did the Nestea plunge, and then at the end of the year, I had the opportunity where I ran back another one. That time I threw the ball in the stands. It cost me, I think, at the time, like $500 or something like that. And
that's a lot of money.
I had little bookends, and I made All Pro my first year returning kickoff. So I had my moments in the NFL. Right. It wasn't a horrible ride. It was a good ride. All right. Yeah.
So after Kansas City, you spent some time in Dallas, and so for the Eagles fans here today, boo. Is there a boo that we have here?
Where's the boo button? It's a boo from me. I didn't like Jimmy Johnson, so you can feel free to boo all you want. I thought he was a horse's behind. Yeah, I didn't like him very much.
All right, well, we're about to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by Paul Palmer for another segment. And we're going to talk more about his NFL experience and some of the experiences prior to the NFL, because I know you have some stories to tell about Governor Wallace of Alabama. We want to hear that one, too. We'll be right back. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast. This is more than just a podcast. This is a movement to inspire and motivate and mobilize. This is for those whose voices have been unheard, misunderstood, undervalued, and underserved. We're going to talk about sports, culture, entertainment, and we're going to use this to build power in our communities. All right, welcome back. Episode today entitled Ballers' Lives Are Political Too. So let's get a little political in this conversation. And Paul has a lot of stories to tell. One of those being a story about the infamous governor of Alabama, George Wallace.
Yeah.
So tell us what we need to know about your experience with George Wallace.
It's pretty mind-blowing. I played in the Blue-Gray All-Star game, and we played in Mobile, Alabama. And the night before the game, I want to say the night before the game, it could have been the night after the game, they had a banquet. At the banquet, you get your watch, you get a jacket, you get whatever it is that you're going to get. And let me say, in that game, I was MVP. I had 165 yards that day. So I thought I was like, the stuff. But anyway, it was another good day. It was another good day. But as they call your name, you rise up and you go to the front, and at the head table is Governor George Wallace. But I noticed him, and I started rounding the troops at my table. Like, and a lot of people a lot of the brothers at the table didn't know.
Right.
I'm like, do you know who that is? Every time you see Martin Luther King, you see Governor George Wallace. Do you know who he is? So at that point, man, I'm kind of amped up about going up there.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what I'm going to do, and I'm angry as hell that they had the nerve to have that racist SOB at the table. So I think he said something. He sticks out his hand. I think he said something to the extent of, I'd like to welcome you to the wonderful state of Alabama. I just went right by him. I kind of slid by him and kept on walking. He had his hand out, and I kept pushing. But my best friend, Travis Curtis, who played at West Virginia, my dog, Travis, grabbed a handful of mashed potatoes and kind of cupped it in his hand. And he walked up there, and when George Wallace stuck his hand out, my boy didn't look at him and hit it with a mashed potato handshake. And he kept on pushing. So you saw George Wallace kind of look at his hand and kind of wipe it. But for me, I felt nauseous. I really, really felt it physically, like the nerve of them to have him there. And I went out and sat in the hall for about 5 minutes or so just to kind of get myself together. Yeah. Then I came back, and I thought it was terrible of them to have him there. And I don't, he can say he's sorry, and he can say he had changed. He's sorry that he got those bullets in his behind. Yeah. And he changed because he got those bullets in his behind. Because if he hadn't, he'd have still been standing in front of the courthouse. Right. He'd have still been standing in front of schools. Right. And he'd still been treating black people the way he had. Right. So he got what he deserved.
Before you joined us earlier today, Charles and I were talking about Saquon Barkley and him accepting an invitation, obviously, to the White House as the Eagles celebrating their Super Bowl win. And also, his conversation around, of course he's going to go visit the president. And of course he's going to go golfing with the president.
He respects the office.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you can respect the office, but you don't have to respect him.
Right.
And I said before, like in the past, when they have the teams go there, I've always said to myself, but this is the 60-year-old Boo Boo Palmer talking. You know what I mean? I would think, if I were younger, I would probably still have a hard time going, out of respect for my great-grandmother and my great-grandmother's generation and the stuff they've had to go through. I would not be there cheesing and grinning. I don't think I would even be there at all. Right. I would respect the office, but I wouldn't. If I don't respect the guy that doesn't respect me, then I'm good with that, and I wouldn't have gone.
Would you have had a scheduling conflict like others had to not be in the presence, or
whatever you want to call it? I'd have pulled something out of my behind. Mm-hmm. It would have been something, but I would not have been at the White House with that person in the White House.
You had a lot of experiences in college football, experiencing racism. Mm-hmm. I'm understanding something happened with BYU.
Yeah, we played BYU at the Vet. And I got him good, like my junior. I got him for like 155 yards. You know what I mean? So that summer, I got a letter, and the letter was like you see people on the street and they're giving out religious pamphlets. A little pamphlet about 25 pages, not very big, about the size of a dollar bill. You know what I mean? And I got that in the mail, and inside it was LDS, Latter-day Saints, literature about some war they had, and they were like the cowards, and the cowards that ran, their skin was made to be black. So I'm reading this, and I'm wondering, like, wait a minute. So I read it again, and I realized, I guess maybe there was someone's chance to try to intimidate me, someone's chance to try to humiliate me in one way or another. I took it down to Bruce Arians. I took it to BA, Coach Arians, excuse me. I gave it to Coach, and I don't really know what he did with it. Yeah. But it was surprising. It was kind of jarring that I got that. And it came right to the dorms. You know, now I guess they check things a little better now, but it came right to the dorms where we live. And I was almost speechless. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that someone had the nerve to send that to me, you know. And I know people that have played football, brothers that have played football at BYU. And I've even had talked to them. I said, are you LDS? And they're like, no, you're not LDS. I'm not LDS. But they have to do the same thing. Like if you're not Catholic and you're at Notre Dame, you still have to.
Right. Villanova. You gotta
and it's scholarship. You know, it's a free education. So brothers have taken it. But I was surprised that I really got that. Yeah, in college.
So you had several years in NFL, and then you went into Arena League.
No, I didn't. I went up to Canada real quick.
Yeah.
Had a quick cup of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. Quick cup. It didn't feel comfortable. It didn't. I didn't really like it. I went to. I played in the World League, which eventually turned into NFL Europe.
So tell us a little bit more about your experience in the European League.
I played for the Barcelona Dragons, and eventually the World Football League turned into NFL Europe. The experience was incredible. My best friend, Travis, we were teammates there. He was in our very first professional football game. We played against each other. Yeah. Mike Hennett was over there, who played with me at Temple. My roommate was Tony Rice from Notre Dame, Tony Rice is a legend, national championship quarterback. He was my roommate. Incredible experience. I mean, the money stunk. But I'd always said, I'd play this game for a lot less than I'm getting. Well, I had to show and prove because I was getting a lot less money in the league. But it was still a great experience, and we were treated really, really well in Barcelona, yes.
So today's episode is entitled Ballers' Lives Are Political Too. Yeah. And so, you experienced a lot, both in college and in NFL football. Yeah. What brings you pride and joy coming out of the NFL, coming out of various leagues? What brings you pride and joy in this moment, right? You're mentioning you're 60 years old now, looking good for 60. I'm going to give it up.
Thank you. I appreciate the love.
So how are you feeling about what's happening in the world, and what brings you most joy right now?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. The guys I mentioned earlier, the ones I call the usual suspects, are incredible. We've been riding with each other for over 40 years. Some of my brothers from Temple I've known for 42 years. Some of my brothers from Temple I've known since they were 17 years old when they visited Temple. Right. And I'm blessed. I have a good group of people around me. I feel the presence of. I feel my family and people that have poured into me and people who have loved me and expected great things out of me. I feel them, I don't want to say under my feet, but I feel them lifting me up. But I also feel the presence of people. I had a daughter who graduated from Temple who passed a few years ago. And I feel her presence, and I feel there's a lot of people that have their arms around me too. I mean, if you get to me, you've gone through a lot of damn people, and I'm blessed. And I coach high school football now, and I coach those high school kids like I was coached. I coach them with a lot of love. I talk to them close. I don't do a lot of yelling. I talk to them close. I have taken shirts off of my back at practice. I've taken shoes off of my feet for some of my kids that don't have cleats because I had coaches that bought me cleats. If one of my kids needs something, I'll humble myself. Right. Coach, do you get this stuff free? No, I don't get it free, but I'll humble myself and I'll ask for you so you can have. Right. And I hope when you get older and you coach, you do the same thing. Yeah. So what brings me joy is I'm just surrounded by love, man. Yeah. These high school kids love me to death. And their parents write some of the most incredible letters after their 3-4 years of football, that will honestly bring you to tears. They just write some of the nicest things. And I see these young men, and they always come back, and they know where I live. They have my phone number. They know they can always knock on my door. And these are old heads, not just, and these are the kids in junior high that are coming up, they all know. So I'm blessed, man. I'm just surrounded by a whole lot of incredible love.
You still rocking a lot of that Temple swag whenever I see you.
Yeah. I love my school, man.
So you're also doing radio. So you have a face and a voice for radio.
Nah, you beat me to it. I have a face for radio. Yeah. But I do Temple football, and I love it. Yeah. I have a really, really good time. I travel with the team. These coaches let me hang out in the locker room, in meetings. I get to know them so that when I get on air, it's not just X's and O's. Right. It's personal stuff, about them. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Paul Palmer is always swagged out with the Temple gear, but I'm also recognizing there is a nice little rock on his finger as well. Tell us about what that is, Paul Palmer.
This is my College Football Hall of Fame, and this is I wear it on occasion to just kind of little low-key flex. Mm-hmm. I have another ring that I'm really proud of. Bruce Arians got me a ring with the Temple T on it, and it says Temple All-American. It's a one-off. No one else. They don't make these rings for everybody. Right. He did it for me, I guess as a thank you. He called me, said, you got to come to my office. I go to his office. He kind of slid it to me, and that was it. We didn't do it at a banquet. It wasn't any big presentation. But this is I'm really proud of this, man. It really makes me feel good. There's times where I've said to my boys, like, oh, man, I don't know if I really want to wear my ring. They're like, man, F that. Right. Wear your ring. Right. You know what I mean? Because me wearing this ring is kind of a reflection upon them as well. Right. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I look at it, and it makes me feel proud, and I hope the people that love me and know me and people from Temple are proud of me as well. I'm very proud to wear this on behalf of Temple University.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this half an hour has come by pretty fast.
Yeah.
So we're coming towards the end here.
Yeah.
And I guess my last parting question for you, as we were talking about football and the youth and all of your engagement with the youth, what is your recommendation to young folks growing up in these times, what football might be their only career in their minds? What else should they be thinking about and towards?
Oh, wow. Well, obviously education. Yeah. Education. I have a 17-year-old daughter at home, Kayla. And I try to tell her, I said, Kayla, you're different from Daddy. Like, Daddy's only way was to play football. I'm like, you're smart, and you get good grades. And my great-grandmother used to tell me, like, once you get your education, they can't take it from you. And I feel the same way about her. And I feel the same way about these kids. Like, academically, you got to do it. Right. And it can be done. And football, you get old. In football, you get injured. And football, your shelf life as a football player is only so long, even as a professional. But if you're educated and you have your education, you can always still do something. Right. And that's the most important thing. Play the sports, respect the sports, work as hard at the sports as you want, but then do the same thing academically, because once you get that, they can't take it from you. Yeah.
You can't take that paper ever.
Hell to the no.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being with us today. I want to thank Paul Palmer, Paul Boo Boo Palmer of Temple University for being with us today. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And we're going to invite Paul Palmer back, and we're going to invite him back with some of his friends, because I know that there's more stories to be told.
The usual suspects. We'll bring them back.
Absolutely. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for entertaining today and all the experiences, recognizing that ballers' lives are political too. And we must do a lot more work here if we're going to reach out into our communities and lift up these young folks in these times. So I thank you all for being with us today, and see you again next time. Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of Slingshot the Podcast. Today's episode was entitled, Ballers' Lives Are Political Too. And I'm not sure any of us have enough green to be the protection from our complexion. So I'll leave it there and say that we hope that you join us for our next episode, as we're going to delve deeper into what makes our lives more political. So thanks for being with us today. I'm Kadida Kenner, and you're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power.